Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to talk about the halachic and ethical evolution of Shamiras Halashon from Talmudic foundation to the contemporary digital application. The study of speech ethics within Jewish tradition, specifically the discipline of Shamiras Halashon, or the guarding of the tongue, has undergone a profound transformation over the past 50 years. What was once perceived primarily as a collective of pietistic homilies has emerged as a rigorous, codified branch of halacha, Jewish law. This metamorphosis was catalyzed by the late 19th century efforts of Rabbi Yisroel HaKohen Kagan, known as the Chofetz Chaim, but its institutionalization and application to the modern hyperconnected world are the result of the 20th and 21st century scholarship. The contemporary Talmudic landscape now views speech not merely as a social tool, but as a series of halachic speech acts with measurable legal consequences, necessitating a complex framework from communication in an era where words travel across the globe in milliseconds. The architectural synthesis of the Chofetz Chaim, the modern discipline between the publication of Sefer Chofetz Chaim and Radin in 1873. Rabbi Yisroel Meir Kagan was the first to organize the laws of proper speech comprehensively, moving beyond ethical exhortations found in earlier Musa ethical literature to create a legal code modeled after the Shulchan Aruch. The text is divided into two primary structural components: Makor Chaim, which serves as the definitive legal ruling, and the Be'er Me'er Chaim, an extensive set of footnotes providing Talmudic and Rishonic early commentator sources for those rulings. This synthesis was necessary because the laws of speech are scattered throughout the Talmud, spanning tracts such as Arachin, Ketubot, and Baba Metzia, and were never before consolidated into a single practical manual. The Chofetz Chaim's primary contribution was the identification of 31 distinct mitzvah commandments that are potentially violated during the transmission of Lashon Hara, derogatory speech, and Rechilut, tale-bearing. These include 17 negative commandments, such as the consensual prohibition in Leviticus 19:16 against being a tale-bearer, and 14 positive commandments, including the obligation to love your neighbor as yourself and the requirement to remember what God did to Miriam. The legal severity of speech is quantified by the staggering number of potential violations in a single conversation. The following table, I'm not going to go through this table, but it's just different quotes of negative commandments resulting from Lashon Hara. For example, prohibiting uttering a false oath, reporting and citing others, prohibits hating a brother in one's heart and often the root of evil speech, overhang mandate of Ahavas Yisrael, love of Jews, requirement to cleave to the wise and maintain fine company. The transition from 19th century context of Radin to globalized 20th century requires a pedagogical shift. The Chofetz Chaim recognized that theoretical knowledge of the laws was insufficient, and success in this mitzvah requires daily repetitive engagement. This realization eventually laid the groundwork to Shamiras Halashon Yomi movement, which was finally championed in the Manchester Rosh Yeshiva Rabbi Yehuda Zev Segel. The Manchester legacy and the institutionalization of daily study. The most significant development in the practice of Shamiras Halashon over the last 50 years is the institutionalization of daily study cycles. While the Chofetz Chaim authored the code, Rabbi Yehuda Zev Segel of Manchester transformed it into a global daily ritual. Rabbi Segel's influence in Manchester and Salford became the epicenter of the movement that viewed daily study as a primary weapon against the habitual nature of speech sins. The Shamiras Halashon Yomi calendar. Rabbi Segel established a structured learning calendar that had since been adopted by tens of thousands of participants worldwide. This calendar typically operates a 4-month cycle, ensuring the laws of ethical and proportion are reviewed 3 times annually. This constant repetition serves a dual purpose. It provides the necessary halachic knowledge to make split-second decisions in conversation, and it creates a psychological sensitization to the weight of words. The impact of this program on the local Manchester and Salford communities led to the development of a specialized curriculum in institutions like schools like Shari Torah and various Kohanim in Salford all incorporate these daily cycles into morning schedules, creating an environment where refined speech became a communal norm. The movement's expansion was furthered by the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation, which adapted Rav Segel's recipes for success in contemporary English language resources. The metaphysics of success. Yeshua through speech. A unique facet of the Manchester legacy is the emphasis on the metaphysical reward of guarding one's speech. Rav Segel is famously associated with the teaching that there is no family who studies the laws of Shamiras Halashon who has not seen some form of Yeshua, salvation miracle in their lives. This perspective posits that speech ethics are not just a social obligation, but a key to divine assistance in other areas of life, such as health, refuah, marriage, shidduchim, and livelihood, parnasa. The testimonies from the last several decades frequently highlight instances where individuals and families saw tangible shift in their circumstances after committing to the daily study of the Sefer Chofetz Chaim. For example, communities in Brooklyn and Edison, New Jersey have reported that participants in the Yomi program noted immediate improvements in marital harmony and the quality of their home environments. This practical mysticism has served as a powerful motivator for the proliferation of the program among lay people who might otherwise find intricate legality of Lashon Hara daunting. Constructive speech, the doctrine Toelet. One of the most complex and frequently discussed areas of contemporary speech halacha is the concept of Toelet, or constructive purpose. Halacha recognizes that information which would ordinarily be forbidden as Lashon Hara, both by being derogatory and damaging, is permissible and at times obligatory if it's disclosed serves a protective or beneficial end. However, the threshold for this dispensation is high, and the potential for abuse is significant, leading modern scholars to emphasize the 7 conditions of Toelet. The 7 conditions of Toelet. To ensure that a speaker is not merely rationalizing their desire to gossip, the Chofetz Chaim delineated 7 specific requirements that must be satisfied before speaking disparagingly for a constructive purpose. First, the speaker must have witnessed the behavior or incident personally or verified beyond doubt rather than relying on rumors. Verification of transgression. The speaker must carefully analyze whether the act was truly a violation of Jewish law, if they are simply misinterpreting the subject's intentions. Prior rebuke. If feasible, the speaker should first approach the individual privately and attempt to correct the behavior through gentle rebuke before informing others. For absolute truth, the report must be entirely accurate without a shred of exaggeration or effect from emotional resonance. 5. Pure intent. The motive must be purely to achieve a constructive goal, such as protecting someone from financial harm rather than out of personal animosity or for the pleasure of telling. Exhaustion of alternatives. The speaker must determine that there is no other way to achieve the constructive end without revealing the negative information. 7. Avoidance of disproportionate harm. The result of the disclosure should not cause the subject more damage than they would be halachically liable for their actions. Modern applications. Business and safety. In the last 50 years, these conditions have been applied to modern professional life with increasing precision. Rabbi Ari Mauerberger, a noted Dayan rabbinic judge, has explored the intersection of Shamiras, Halashon, and Mishpat business law, arguing that protecting a consumer from dishonest merchant or business partner from an unreliable associate is a fulfillment of command not to stand by your neighbor's blood. Similarly, the concept of shidduchim matchmaking, the disclosure of medical or psychological information could affect the marriage is often mandatory under the law to elect. However, modern scholars warn that such information must be shared with extreme care, ensuring that it's given only to the parties who need to know and only at the appropriate stage of the relationship. The emergence of professional consultants and rabbis specializing in these queries reflects the community's commitment to balancing the subject's privacy with the safety of the inquirer. Digital ethics. Speech in the age of hyper-communication. The most radical challenge to the laws of speech has been the rise of digital technology. The internet, social media, and instant messaging platforms like WhatsApp have created a world of instantaneous and months of communication that the Chofetz Chaim could not have envisaged. This has led to the emergence of cyber Lashon Hara, where the speed and reach of information significantly amplify the damage caused by a single message, a problem of viral information and anonymity. Scholars like Rabbi Daniel Z. Feldman, in works such as False Facts and True Rumors, have analyzed how the digital environment changes psychological barriers to forbidden speech. The physical distance between the speaker and the subject often leads to a decrease in empathy, making it easier to send derogatory text than to speak the same words to someone's face. Further, the viral nature of the internet means that once a piece of Lashon Hara is posted, it becomes virtually impossible to track, complicating the process of teshuva repentance. The halachic status of information known to all, ape telata, is also under review. Historically, if information was already known in a public forum, the prohibition against repeating it was mitigated under certain circumstances. However, in the age of Google and social media, public knowledge takes on a new meaning. Contemporary authorities argue that just because something is online does not give one license to further its spread, as each new post or share contributes to the ongoing shaming and social exclusion of the subject. Privacy and Cherem Rabbeinu Gershom. Digital communication also intersects with the Cherem Rabbeinu Gershom, which forbids the reading of others' private letters. Modern scholars apply this to emails, direct messages, and private WhatsApp conversations. The unauthorized access of private digital information is seen not only as a violation of privacy, but as a chezek re'iyah, harm caused by seeing, which often leads directly to the spread of Lashon Hara. The following table compares the traditional modes of speech violation with their contemporary digital counterparts, illustrating the increased risk inherent in modern technology. So you have an traditional context, oral conversation; digital context, WhatsApp group chat; halakha challenge, permanent record, multiple recipients simultaneously; personal letter, traditional context, personal letter; digital context, email, direct message. Either halakha challenge, either forwarding violates Cherem Rabbeinu Gershom. Met a local rumor; digital context, viral social post; halachic challenge, reaches global retraction is impossible; private rebuke, public call-out culture, often violates onat devarim and cause public shaming; apei talata, 3 people, search engine results, information is permanent and easily discoverable; pedagogical shift and the role of modern literature. The proliferation of Shamiras Halashon has been supported by a vast new bibliography of works designed to make the laws accessible to the modern reader. Since 1976, there has been a significant move towards producing editions that integrate Hebrew text with English translation and contemporary application. Significant contemporary works and editions. Dietschy International Edition. This edition has revolutionized the study of Sefer Chofetz Chaim by including a running elucidation and the Musafim section, which provides cause references to other works by the Chofetz Chaim and rulings from contemporary poskim on modern-day scenarios. Article Masorah series, works like A Lesson a Day by Rabbi Yitzchak Berkovich, provides a pedagogical framework for daily study, synthesizing law and ethics into manageable segments. 3. Positive Word Power, published by the CCHF. This series focuses on the psychological and character building aspects of speech, while encouraging participants to view speech as a tool for building others rather than just a series of prohibitions. Me'or Yisrael, a scholarly Hebrew commentary that provides an in-depth elucidation of the halachic reasoning behind Chofetz Chaim's rulings, catering to the needs of the advanced Talmudist. During the Chofetz Chaim series, recognize that habits are formed in childhood. These works use storytelling and illustrated to teach children the laws of speech in a relatable way. These works demonstrate a broader trend in the last 50 years, the move from piety to literacy. The community no longer relies on vague notion of being nice, instead it demands high level of halachic literacy in the laws of communication. Philosophical and ethical foundations beyond the law. While the halachic framework is essential, modern scholars also emphasize the philosophical underpinnings of Shamiras Halashon. The tradition posits the way one speaks defines a relationship with God and humanity. Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik and other 20th century thinkers explore the justification of halachic norms, arguing that speech laws are not arbitrary but rooted in the dignity of the individual and the image of God. Salam Elokim. Speech is a divine mirror. In the Jewish vision, speech is the divine mirror of the soul. The creation of the world through speech, and God said, "Let there be," suggests that human speech also has a creative and instructive capacity. Lashon Hara is seen as poisoning of language that destroys the ecology of freedom and shatters the trust necessary for a functional society. This is why the Sage takes it so seriously, equating it with the gravest sins is the fundamental betrayal of the purpose for which language was given. The concept of anayat devarim, verbal oppression, further extends this by prohibiting speech that causes emotional distress, even if not derogatory in the traditional sense. This includes reminding a penitent of the past sins or misleading a person seeking directions. These laws emphasize that the heart and intention are central in speech ethics, as these transgressions are often entrusted to the heart. Devarim shemor lalev, known only to the speaker and God. The community and third temple. The recurring theme in contemporary Musa is the connection between speech and the collective destiny of the Jewish people. The Talmud famously attributes the destruction of the Second Temple to Sinas Chinam, based on hate of which Lashon Hara is a primary manifestation. Modern educators like Michael Rothschild emphasize that the only way to rebuild the temple is to practice Avas Chinam, unconditional love expressed through refined speech. This communal focus has led to initiatives like 40 Days of Caring and the Avas Yisrael project, which uses laws of speech as a springboard for broader character development and communal unity. By transforming the guiding of the tongue from a restrictive burden into a forgotten key of our Geula, redemption, these programs have made Shamiras Halashon a central pillar of modern Jewish life. Conclusion: the future of speech halacha. As we look forward to the next 50 years, the discipline of Shamiras Halashon will continue to adapt to the shifting landscape of human interaction. The core principles established by the Chofetz Chaim remain the bedrock, but the application of artificial intelligence, automated communication, global digital commons will require new levels of halachic innovation. The success of the Manchester and Solomon model daily study, combined with the pedagogical clarity of modern commentaries, provide a robust framework for this future. Ultimately, the guiding of the tongue remains an art as well as a science, requiring both a command of the legal source and a keen understanding of the underlying principles of halacha. As the world becomes louder and more connected, the quiet discipline of halacha will serve as an increasing vital safeguard for human dignity, truth, and peace. We recognize that precision of speech is essential and that words carry material shift weight. A contemporary student of the Chofetz Chaim continues to build a world where language is used not to destroy, but to sanctify. Thank you for listening, and all the best. Bye.